Hi, it's Ike from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got no book to read for you. Today, book of DuckTales, Back to the Klondikes from 1989. So let's get started. Why are you cutting out those hearts? Asked Scrooge McDuck. For Valentine's Day, said Webby. Hadn't you ever received one? Who would give me one of those? Grunted Scrooge, going into his study. Later, Webby and Scrooge's nephew found him there, staring at a silk heart. "Oh, who gave you that, Uncle Scrooge?" asked Webby. "Long ago," began Scrooge. "I went looking for gold in the Klondike. On Saturday, I like to go to the town for a surprise, and I stopped at Dangerous Dan Honky Tonk Saloon." "That sounds like Old West," said Huey. "It was," said Scrooge. "Canada was full of gold seekers, adventurers, gamblers, robbers, and saloons, like Dangerous Dan. That's where I met Glittering Goldie. She gave you the silk heart, I bet," said Webby. Scrooge continued. "Dan ordered Goldie to invite me to a card game. All was well at first. I was winning. Then Goldie switched the cards on me, and I lost." "That cheating," said Huey. "Yes," said Scrooge, "and I told him to give me back my money." "Well," said Webby, "just like in the movies." "Well, Dangerous Dan and I had the biggest fight in the Klondike history. He was twice me size, and everyone bet that Dan would win. But he didn't. He landed in the river and didn't set foot in the honky tonk until I was long gone." "And Goldie?" asked Webby anxiously. "Well, I was pretty angry. I liked Goldie, but she had tricked me, and I told her I was going to call the mountain police." "Well, you had no choice," said Louis. "But she begged me to forgive her. She said she'd return every cent if I just give her a job in me gold mine." "And you refused, right?" "No," replied Scrooge. "I accepted gladly." "You didn't let her work for free," cried Webby. "I was going to share all the gold with her," replied Scrooge. "I wanted to get her out of the saloon. That winter, Goldie and I mined a pile of gold. I thought she was wonderful." "One day Goldie gave me a valentine, this silk heart. I was the happiest duck in the world," said Scrooge. "How romantic," sighed Webby. "I asked her then and there to marry me," Scrooge continued. "She agreed and went off to town to get some things we needed. I was to meet her there the next day. The next morning, all the gold we had mined together had disappeared." "Oh no," groaned Webby. "I went looking for Goldie to tell her," said Scrooge, "but Dan said she'd left town to start a new life." "What a shame," sighed Huey. "I worked at the mine until I had another ton of gold, and then I came home. That's the whole story." "Did you ever go back?" asked Dewey. "No," replied Scrooge. "The place holds that memory for me." "I love to see it," said Louis. "I suppose we could all go together," said Scrooge. "Great," said the nephews, and the very next day they set off. Scrooge's old cabin was still there, and someone was living in it. The door opened, and there stood Goldie, pointing a pistol at them. "What do you want, stranger?" she demanded. "Goldie, it's me," said Scrooge, excited. "Well, Scrooge McDuck, so you finally came back. That's a fine greeting," said Scrooge. "You know I only went away to forget." "To forget that you left me?" asked Goldie. It was you who left me and took the gold. Goldie pulled the trigger. The bullet missed Scrooge and broke off a piece of rock behind him. Something glimmed underneath. Gold, you found a new vein, exclaimed Scrooge. It's all yours, said Goldie. Then she whispered, and a bear appeared. She climbed on his back and rode into the woods. Before long, Scrooge and his nephew had mined a ton of gold. Dangerous Dan and his buddy watched from behind a rock. We'll move in when they had got it all, said Dan. A few days later, Scrooge and the lad loaded their sacks of gold on a train to head home. Just as they was about to pull out, Dangerous Dan stopped the train. We'll take that gold, Scrooge, said Dan. Don't be stupid, said Scrooge. I'll beat you again like I did all them years ago. You paid for that, Scrooge, Dan gloated. Goldie didn't steal your gold, I did. You told me she left town with it. She didn't. Wait, she didn't say, Dan. You see, I told her you had left with all the gold. You villain! Ow! Dan was about to raise his gun when suddenly Goldie came running up on her bear, shooting furiously. Dan and his henchmen ran away. Are you okay, boys? Asked Goldie. Never better, said Scrooge. Goldie, I want to tell you what Dan just told me. That night, Scrooge and Goldie sat together in the moonlight, remembering old times. Are you sure you won't come back with me? No, Scrooge, I belong here now. We had our time. Scrooge sighed. Sadly, he watched a steam engine puff around the valley below. The steam rose up into the air, foaming a perfect heart. So that was DuckTales Back to the Klondike from 1989. If you like, subscribe, share, and comment, have a groovy day with another video coming out real soon.